And even taking this all the way back to yes, slavery times and yes, the civil rights era, you think that black people were just gonna shut up and be complacent about the things that were happening to them? No, they fucking complained and things started to change. Me actually like complaining out loud, taking the steps to make the change that I wanted is ultimately what leads me to living out my manifestation. If I didn't complain, these things would never be at the forefront of my mind to then take the actions that need to be taken to change.
No such thing as a life that's better than yours. No such thing as a life that's better than yours. No such thing, no such thing.
Shalom everyone, welcome or welcome back, and in today's video I'm going to be talking about when you complain, things start to change. So without further ado, let's get started. So I know complaining has definitely a bad connotation when it comes to it, but I kind of wanted to put my own little twist on it and talk about the good aspects of complaining and why it can actually help you in the long run. So as bad as it sounds, I've had so many people tell me, you complain a lot, and I'm like, thank you, I know. And that is only because I don't necessarily view complaining as a bad thing in this sense. If you are complaining to try to change something for the better, then I don't look at that as a negative thing. Take for example, me wanting to quit my job, but not doing it because I know the money that I can get. I'm gonna complain about that job, but then at the same time, I'm gonna talk about the positive aspects that come with it. Even when I was taking time to scroll through YouTube and look at the different types of videos popping up, I even looked up, is complaining good or why is complaining good? And I kind of saw only negative videos about it. But in this aspect, in this video, the reason why I wanna talk about complaining is because I think when you unpeel just a different layer and you look at it from a different perspective, you can see that complaining can actually be a good thing, especially for your mental health. Now that I'm also in a new job, and a lot of people can look at this as a negative, but again, I feel like I don't take what people say too personally, and I actually like to use that energy and transmute it into something more powerful that's actually going to benefit me. It's kind of nice to see the people that I'm in this environment with and also how we reflect off of each other, because obviously everyone is a mirror themselves. So if they say, oh my God, you complain so much, the way that I see it is you don't complain enough. Maybe it's just youngest child syndrome, but me knowing how to complain and knowing how to get my way in a sense, I think that's why I kind of complain, because in a weird way, as much as I hate to say it, I expect to get my way because that is my reality. That has been my reality. Yes, I know sometimes the universe isn't going to give me everything I want right away because there's lessons that I need to learn, but in the same aspect, I'm used to getting my way. So when I don't see something going even just a way where it's ebbing and flowing and that there's some type of distraction or just disruption within it, I'm going to say something about it because that's how things start to change. And I've witnessed this a lot, especially with new places that I've gone. And I can understand that, yes, everybody can have the same idea when it comes to complaining. They can talk to, their coworkers about it. But me, when I complain, I go to the highest person possible. And that does mean I'm talking to management about it. And I have no issue doing so. Maybe it's just me already being a natural leader myself when it comes to talking to positions of authority and complaining about something. I have no issue doing that because why am I scared of you? You're literally just a person. What the hell? I also genuinely like to look at complaining as somebody finally speaking up about this issue and using that complaining to take action to change it so we don't have to complain about that anymore. I can even understand, with me, I do complain a lot, and it's not necessarily something that I view negatively. It's more of I like to process my emotions out loud, and especially talking to someone about my emotions since I'm not currently in therapy. And I think that with me complaining a lot allows me to see the type of environment that I'm in and shows me that I don't want this for myself anymore. So what can I do, or how can I complain to myself and say I don't want this for myself anymore? What actions and what steps are we going to take to change it so I don't have to complain? That's kind of how I look at complaining. If we're always looking at things in such a negative aspect and I'm complaining about this thing but I'm not making any change towards it, then you're just complaining. But that's why the title is when you complain, things start to change. And even taking this all the way back to yes, slavery times and yes, the civil rights era, you think that black people were just gonna shut up and be complacent about the things that were happening to them? No, they fucking complained and things started to change. That's where we see the civil rights movement. That's where we see slavery being abolished, even though it wasn't abolished until years and years later. Juneteenth, we already know about that. But that's kind of the energy that I'm trying to have y'all focus on within this video. And what I'm talking about is that complaining can actually be a good thing. There's so many negative connotations online about complaining, but nobody is talking about the positive positive aspects, and that's exactly what I want to do. Like I just said, I personally think that when you complain, it kind of like lights the fire under your ass in order to make the change that you need to make to then move forward with your life. If you just sit there and let it, like, what's the word, ruminate or marinate, I don't fucking know. If you just sit there, especially if you're a people pleaser, I'm talking to you people pleasers, there's too many people pleasers out here that is allowing other people to drain them of the things that they actually want because they're too scared to speak out and they're too scared to hurt somebody's feelings. Who gives a fuck? Who gives a fuck about hurting other people's feelings? If you genuinely cared about them, you would hurt their feelings, but they would understand and y'all will be able to have a mature conversation about it to move forward. But then again, people are so focused on what other people would think of them, on who cares about this and this. Who cares? You have your own path. Everybody is on their own path. Everybody is doing their own thing. So that is what I'm trying to like reiterate to y'all and like kind of like shake you like this, is that when you complain about the things going on in your life, your relationship, your car, your job, you are able to take a step back and be like, okay, what am I actually complaining about? Because like I always like to say, there's always a root to an issue. There's always going to be one singular thing that you have to dig deep to really see, okay, this is actually the reason why all of this is happening. And unless I address the root of the issue, everything else that stems from it is going to continue to happen. That is why I really do like going deep when it comes to certain issues, conflicts with people, and other things of that sort, because if you don't and you just stay surface level, you're not going to learn anything. But when you complain, when you actually like put it out there in the world, you know what? I don't like my job anymore. That sparks something like, bitch, finally we've been waiting for you to fucking wake up and make a change about it. Especially if you were the type of person to complain over a long term about one singular thing, make the change and shut up. That's also what I've been having to learn, is like sometimes it is good to like shut up about certain things, but also when some things do need to be spoken out loud. Take for example like management at a job. If you're new to something and you're able to see like an outside perspective or like a non-biased perspective of, you know, management or people, and you really see like, I don't know if that should be allowed, or I don't even know if that like is like a good thing that should be happening. When you speak up and you say something about it, that's when things actually start to change. And like I said earlier in this video, you really think that Black people sat up there and didn't complain? If when I'm complaining, I'm just gonna say, actually, I'm using the voices of my ancestors to make sure that everything goes right. That's actually funny though. I know this is super random too, but like take my hair for example. Everybody knows, if you've been on my channel for a while, I have had traditional locks, but I had the one idea to get micro locks and I never like fully committed to it. I never even wanted to, in a sense, but then I, you know, texted about it, thought about it, and I'm like, and I would complain. I'm like, you know, my locks, like they don't look like, I never really cared about like the neat look or whatever, but genuinely, I personally love my micro locks on me. Like I actually love it, but I wouldn't have been able to get to the place where I would have been comfortable actually combing my locks out unless I complained. Unless I'm like, you know, I don't know if I want my traditional locks anymore. I don't know if I want to, you know, have to wait every 3 months for a retwist, or go in the future with like heavier hair. In a sense, I wanted something to mimic my actual like natural hair, but at the same time still be locked. Y'all know me. I'm not no natural hair baddie, okay? I tried it, it didn't work out for me, and I complained about that, which is what led me to locks. Then I started seeing all the videos everywhere. People were doing traditional locks. I kept complaining to my sister about it. Then I ultimately made the decision. And that is why I'm saying, if I would have never complained, if I never would have like had these conversations with everybody complaining about my traditional locks and really coming to the conclusion, I already knew the decision that I was going to make. I really just needed to complain about it out loud to hear it, and also have not necessarily other people's validation, but have other people see where I'm coming from and then give me advice when it came to it. So that is what I mean by like me actually like complaining out loud, taking the steps to make the change that I wanted, is ultimately what leads me to living out my manifestation. Y'all are probably like, girl, how the fuck does that even correlate? Hear me out. I have had divine alignment tattooed on me since my 20th birthday. Divine alignment is a phrase that I believe in so heavily that I literally created a whole hoodie out of it. And I know that, you know, in the future, I definitely have plans to revamp that up again. But in this sense, to even like create a hoodie, to get it tattooed on me, to have this meaning be so deep to myself and, you know, who I am as a person, I think that that also leads to like how I complain as a person. When I complain, generally I'm complaining to have a solution in end. I'm not just complaining to just like, what is that gonna gain? Unless I'm gonna gain something from it, and unless that there's gonna be a solution to it, then obviously I'm not gonna complain. But sometimes I do like complaining. We're human. But in this sense, like when it comes time to living out the manifestations and living out the reality that you want, you're gonna have to make the hard decisions. You're gonna have to complain so then you can see the change that you need to make, and then you're also going to have to take the steps towards it. Even just like doing my research online, there's, like I said, said, so many negative connotations when it comes to complaining, but I think that people are always so used to being pessimistic about things that they can never see how a negative can actually be a positive. When people say that that was a blessing in disguise, they really mean it. So that is where I've even been taking that advice for myself. Like, you know, there have been blessing in disguises for myself, and at first I'm mad and I don't understand why it had to happen this way, and then as time goes on, I'm like, oh, that's why. So I think that's where I'm just like heavily trying to say, like, you can complain in a beneficial way in order to really change your life in whatever aspect that you want. I've also been complaining a lot because I really do have senioritis. I was supposed to graduate in the spring. I think a lot of y'all know that. I transferred schools my junior year to restart, especially with ASL Interpreting. And like, just for me personally, I'm a natural hustler. I know to even be a millionaire of any sense, I need to have 7 streams of income. I know that I'm more than capable of doing that. I'm complaining about hustling because at the end of the day, I want to work but have fun while I'm working. I'm at the point of my life where I am ready to be done with serving. And I know people are like, girl, you've only been serving since you were 19. Exactly. I'm complaining because I have said it so many times. I'm very personable. I love like the hospitality aspect. I love connecting with people. I love being able to be the type of person where I can spark up a conversation with anyone and have the conversation going. That's just the type of person that I am. And if you put a yapper with another yapper, yappa yappa yap. That's all I gotta say. So that's where I'm like, with me, I love yapping, I love connecting with people, and I love doing that, but serving to the point where I'm just like, yes, it's a good stream of income, but the amount of things that I could be doing with my time when it comes to serving versus actually like using that time in a productive way, I know that if I really lock the fuck in, I can quit serving. So that is where I'm also like, I'm really trying to hustle this summer, make my fucking money, and then when school comes, really just chill the fuck out. That's also where I'm saying a fire has been lit under my ass because I don't even know if I'm gonna be having a job when it comes fall. Yeah. Especially in the serving industry, it's very, very hard to like keep up your hours if you're not working that much. So that's where it's like, it's pushing me even more to make content, to try to really put myself out there because I never know what blessings I'm blocking myself by not posting, by not staying true and staying consistent, that the way that I know that I can stay consistent. Someone, I forgot where I was, but someone, hold on, I need water. Drink your water. Fuck. Oh my God, water. This is also so random to be including in this video, but someone literally said that I reminded them of Doechii, and within that comment that they said to me, I didn't think of it as like Doechii, like the singer, all that other stuff. I think it was more like the personality, but also being able to watch Doechii truly like build herself on YouTube and then transition into that type of stardom. That's not necessarily the path that I want to go. I like to use my channel as like an archive for myself to be able to say like, y'all, I've been fucking saying this shit. You can go back and watch it from years ago. But in the same aspect, I think with the journey and the venues that I want to do, that having this as my archive and being able to go back and truly see the work that I'm putting in shows why it paid off in the end. And that's where I'm also like, I love even just these sit down videos. I love my mini vlogs that nobody even watches, and if they do watch it, you know, it doesn't have to get 1,000 views for me to feel some type of way. I'd be texting my sister even being like, girl, my video got 400 views. Like, I'd be feeling famous as fuck. My Nicolandria video that I just filmed is currently at 4.3k views, and I literally texted my sister, I was like, I'm famous. Anytime a video hits 1,000 views, I am internally grateful and extremely grateful that people are even just clicking on my channel to watch. But at the same time, that's where I'm like, numbers don't mean shit. We see people literally blowing up in their own specific niches every single day. Why would I put that barrier on myself when I know that I'm more than capable of achieving anything that I put my mind to? You really just have to have the right mindset, but actually take the actions to do so, which is why I'm talking about complaining. I've been complaining about my summer, how I don't want to like be car poor anymore. So that's, you know, something in the future that I'm working towards. But like, if I didn't complain, these things would never be at the forefront of my mind to then take the actions that need to be taken to change. That's what I'm trying to, it's not clocking to you. It's not clocking. I can also genuinely say that I feel it in my bones. You guys don't understand when I say that me and manifestation are like this. Me and visualization are like this. I visualize about my life and the future every single day. I'm already knowing once I graduate, I know it's like, you can still meet cool people like when you graduate. No, y'all don't understand going to school, especially to become an interpreter, and the amount of volunteering and all the opportunities that I have to do. That is a full-time job within itself. Then take content on top of that. That's a full-time job within itself. So that's where I'm like, I know I don't have to wait until school is over to live the life that I want, but I'm trying to like tell y'all that within the next 1 to 2 years, once I graduate, my life is about to change and I'm gonna be taking y'all with me. I have said it so many times. I want to interpret for Flo Millie, Rico, everybody basically. I want to put ASL and the Black Deaf community humanity at the forefront of who I am as a person, because that's genuinely what I'm passionate about. American fucking Sign Language is like, I love it. Like, that is genuinely my passion. So to be able to not only merge together content, interpreting, meeting all these new people, being interpreters for even famous people, like showing more well-known people like the world of ASL and how like they need to include everybody. Like, let's be inclusive, y'all. Let's be inclusive. Let's start having interpreters at concerts, no matter if there's a deaf person there or not. We need the accessibility. So that's kind of like my passion, and that's where it's like, I'm so glad that I even complained about the school that I used to go to, aka the University of Minnesota, and now that I no longer go there, I'm so much more happier at my school now because I'm actually doing my passion. But if I never would have complained, that passion would have never even been sought out, or it would have taken even longer and it would have gotten delayed if I would have just sat there and I guess I should stay, I only have one more year. No, I complained like a motherfucker and then I ended up leaving. Come on now. I always like to say this too, like especially when complaining, you know, when teachers are like, just raise your hand, never be scared to ask that stupid question because there's probably one other person in the room who feels the same way as you. Think of that sometimes with complaining. Like I said, I'm not talking about complaining in a negative aspect and not doing anything to change your life in a positive way. The complaining that I'm talking about is complaining, then taking actions to find a solution to that, to then not have to complain about it again. That's what I'm talking about. So like I said, have the courage to speak up, have the courage to be the one person that, you know, does complain about something and then shit actually gets changed around there. Okay, like I said, maybe it's just youngest child mentality. I don't like being told no. This is kind of where I've always found a way to have something benefit me at the end of the day. I'm the youngest child. I'm not used to things being not my way, and I'm not used to being told no. So that is where I like to change my reality and do what I need to do in order to live my best fucking life. And if that means complaining to find a solution, then to not have to complain about it anymore, I'm gonna do that. So like I said, when you start to complain, things start to change. I really hope y'all enjoyed this video. I think I've yapped long enough, and I'll see y'all in my next one. Bye, y'all.